Empowerment Through Knowledge Publishing and Serena Stone present the Tequila Drinker's Guide to Health and Wellness Radio Hour with your host, author and medical Qigong educator, Serena Stone. Featuring the director of the Universal Healing Tao and author of dozens of books on natural health and longevity, Tao Master Mantak Chia. This show is for all of us who work hard and play hard. Those of us who are willing to try new things to improve their life, and those who will not tolerate victimization as an answer to health and wellness issues. And now, the Tequila Drinker's Guide to Health and Wellness, episode number 6. This Ain't Your Grandma's Qigong, part 2, with Tevia Feng. Today's episode is part 2 of White Tiger QiGong School founder Tevia Feng's interview. Tevia takes the woo-woo out of Qigong and tells us how Western medicine explains how correct the ancient masters were about health, wellness, meditation, and energy. Furthermore, he shows us that anyone can do simple Qigong and reap immediate anti-aging and fitness benefits.
Today's trivia is from livescience.com and breakingmuscle.com. Fact: Tevia Feng is the founder and master instructor of White Tiger QiGong School. Fact: medical Qigong addresses every muscle and bone in your body and teaches you how to bring them to their full health potential naturally. Fact: an adult's skeletal system consists of 206 bones. Fact: each hand has 27 bones and each foot has 26, which means that together the body's 2 hands and 2 feet have 106 bones. That is, the hands and feet contain more than half of the bones in your entire body. Fact: most adults have 24 ribs, 12 pairs. But about 1 in every 500 people has an extra rib called a cervical rib. Fact: every bone is connected to another bone, with one exception. The hyoid is a horse-shaped bone in the throat, situated between the chin and the thyroid cartilage. It is also the only bone in the human body not connected to another bone. Fact: for every pound of fat gained, you add 7 miles of new blood vessels. Fact: muscle tissue is 3 times more efficient at burning calories than fat. Fact: possessing more muscle should be a training goal for most people. Why? Because more muscle equals more calories burned, and that equals less fat, and that equals being more fit and efficient. Simple goals and simple math. Welcome back. Okay, now this is going to be part 2 of our interview with White Tiger QiGong instructor Tevia Feng. In part 1, we talked about White Tiger QiGong and who might benefit from the various teachings they offer. The answer was almost everyone. Today we're going to go a bit deeper and we're going to talk about what it looks like to train and what we might expect long term if we do. Now, Tevia Feng began his martial arts, Qigong, and meditation training at the age of 7. In his mid-20s, he developed a focus and expertise in medical Qigong. He worked in a Qigong clinic in China, treating cancer patients with medical Qigong and teaching medical Qigong exercises. Now, he works with all kinds of people, from athletes, professional dancers, CEOs, investment bankers, yogis, moms, and people with really difficult to treat illnesses, and a lot more. So welcome back, Tevia.
Thank you.
It's a long introduction because you've done a lot. We haven't even started talking about how you're traveling either. I just realized that you got to do that at another show, because I promised everybody that what I want to do this time is I want to give our listeners an idea of what it would look like to study with you. Okay. Now, let me start with this. I had a chance to speak to some of your students here at Dell Garden, and I would say by the second or third day, there was a whole lot of smiles, and they were really having a good time. I walked around the Tai Chi field, and I know you didn't see me, but I watched your class actually a couple of times.
Oh,
yes, while
I'm
you're
flattered.
outside. I have to ask, because everybody seemed like they were moving in unison really well, and there was pretty much not a sad face in the group. Even if they were focusing, they were pretty happy people. So I have to ask the obvious question: were they all trained in some sort of Tai Chi or Qigong when they got here? Were they already experts?
We have plenty of people who come as complete beginners. But what I did is when I was in China training and different traditional masters, what I found is their methodology really won't work for the average Joe. Because traditionally they would actually take the most talented people and then everybody else would go away. And they would work with these very talented people, but they would work with them for many, many years and dedicatedly. But now we're living in a modern age where we have a job. We have a lot of people have children to take care of, and you have a lot of things to do. So you don't have the whole day to spend with a teacher for years and years and years to learn one thing. So I wanted to design it, the curriculum, in a way that has a step-by-step methodical learning process that anyone can learn, and it goes at their own pace. And you can take someone with no experience whatsoever and bring them to a place that they feel comfortable moving at.
So, all right, I'm taking a guess. So if you're putting beginners and experienced people in the same space, which obviously is happening, for a class, it seems to me that the new people are enjoying the new material and having that experience, and the people that know a little bit about Qigong or Tai Chi, some sort of movement, their experience is probably internally feels different. They're just taking it deeper.
Right. Well, there's so many different layers to the White Tiger QiGong. So you can learn the basic steps, but once you've learned the basic steps, then I can add another layer. So for example, first you'll learn the form. And the form has different body mechanics, different movements. Once you learn that, then I teach you how to harmonize the breath with the movement.
Okay, I'm so fascinated by Tevia that I forgot to put my headset on. Oh, but we sound lovely. Okay.
So once you learn how to harmonize the breath and the movement, then I teach you how to really focus and use your intention to send the circulation to the area that you want it to go to. And what this really is deep body awareness. So I'm teaching these more advanced students the same exact movement, but I'm teaching them the very inner workings of the movement so they can go really deep inside.
All right. Now, listeners, there is a part 1 for Tevia's interview. You need to, if you haven't listened to it yet, you want to do that after you listen to this one, because he talks a lot more about what's happening inside the body. This is medicine. This is science. If you want to understand why Tevia's students feel better, look better, perform better, he does a lot of that internal explanation there. Okay, so that explains then why we could see people who know nothing in the same space with people who have been studying for a while, and it might look the same, but the internal workings, they're completely different. Their experience is different.
Exactly.
Now, I saw your group on the Tai Chi field. Like I said, what were they doing? Could you? They're doing these moving exercises. Tell us a little bit more. You said that first you teach them the form. You have to remember, Tevia, some people don't even know what do you mean? What is a form?
Okay. So for example, we have the 5 animals, Qigong, and you learn 5 different animal movements. Now these movements are designed to target different organ systems in the body. and different meridian systems. As we said in the last show, meridians are essentially connective tissue lines that run throughout the body, and the organs are essentially encapsulated by a bag of fascia. We call this the visceral fascia. So what we're doing with these forms is we're learning a genius system designed by Hua Tuo, the Chinese medicine physician, over 2,000 years ago, and that was developed and evolved over these 2,000 years, and I'm still developing it, and with modern science. And that's the modern science of movement, sports science, and how fascia works, muscle fascia. So I suggest if they want to know more about muscle fascia, refer to the previous episode.
For sure.
So each movement will be mimicking an animal, and this animal will induce an emotional state. So I'll show you how to put this in a tangible way. We take monkey, the movement of monkey. Monkey is for the liver, and what's liver connected to? Liver is connected with the emotion of anger. So what happens when someone gets angry? They tense on their right side, where the liver is underneath the right rib cage, and that will give a compression.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do movements that apply compression and expansion in the liver area. And also, we know that the liver is connected to the eyes. When someone gets angry, what happens? Their eyes become red, filled with rage. So what do we want to do? We want to work on that, so we do a special blinking method and movement of the eyes to lubricate the eyes. This is also good for people who work at desks all day long, by the way. And someone who's, for example, getting angry at the computer is really good exercise. Because what happens when you're working at the computer all day, your eyes dry up. So getting back to the monkey movement, we're doing that monkey movement. And the way we do the monkey movement, a lot of my students start laughing when they do it. And that's because it's supposed to induce this sort of lighthearted state that will relieve anger. And so we relieve the emotion, and we work on squeezing the toxins out of the organ system and the meridians associated with it.
That explains something that I saw, because when you see some of the classes that different teachers come to Del Garden. Not everybody is having such a good time. Okay, in every class, one of the things that stood out is people were smiling in your class. I think you're explaining now some of what I saw. The relief of not being angry or sad or afraid, whatever it is that's coming up, whatever organ that you're working on to release the negative emotion. Of course, they have a nice look on their face. Of course, when we meet in the dining hall for dinner, they're charming. They're lovely people to talk to because they've sort of emotionally detoxed by moving their body. Am I close?
Absolutely. Spot on.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Wow. Again, I have to look now at the script because I was listening to you and not paying attention to the next question. All right. Let's see here. I think it would be nice to know why you personally, after all these years, continue to practice martial arts and medical qigong. I mean, once you do it once, aren't you done?
Real simple. It just makes me feel damn good. I love the feeling. I love how I feel from it. Whatever I've been going through, if I'm sad, if I'm happy, if I'm angry, I go out and I do my qigong. So I go through all the same emotions as anybody else. I go through the roller coaster of life, but it's how I deal with those emotions that differentiates myself. And how do I deal with those emotions? It's through qigong. So I grew up with a mother. She was a psychotherapist. So we understand the Western theory of psychotherapy. It's in the head. It has its validity. It's great. It's fantastic. I've done a lot of work with it. Absolutely. It's very effective. But the Eastern side deals with the body with emotions. So we store our emotions in the body. And now we know from modern science that it's true. We do store emotions in the body. So we must work with the body and the mind to work out those emotions.
So you have a life. You don't just sit around. You're not a yogi in a cave all the time. You have a life. And as life happens, the qigong sounds like it helps keep you balanced and clear of thought.
Yeah. I'm just a normal guy. I like my chocolate cake. I like to hang out with friends. I like to go out swimming in the lake and go skiing and snowboarding. And I do all the fun stuff that everybody else does. And I just love my qigong. And that's part of my, to me, it's as essential as taking a shower or brushing my teeth.
I'll say this. again, because I'm pretty deep in the behind the scenes work here at Dow Garden, I know when students respect their teacher and when they don't.
Mhm.
I think just by being who you are, you gain the respect of your students, because who doesn't want to be a person that can handle both positive and negative situations as life throws them at you? I'm going to bring it up. Yesterday, I was supposed to interview Tevia, but I put it on the wrong day. And I also practice Qigong. So I had about 3 minutes of just all these stories went through my head, because he went to the place like a professional would, and he waited an appropriate amount of time, and I never showed up. And so I had about 3 minutes of, oh my God, if somebody just left me sitting at a restaurant, I would just shoot them. But again, I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I'm a Qigong girl. Pretty quickly he goes, and those thoughts will kill me. So, so do a little thing and get over it very, very quickly. The more we practice, the quicker it happens. And I have to say, so I worked on myself, and then I have to say I was impressed that when I saw you, you were smiling, you were polite to me, you didn't make it personal, which I think in our culture, in many city cultures, people take stuff personally that has nothing to do with them. You were so self-aware that you knew, like, well, she certainly didn't do that to me, and she was polite with me, and da 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 da. And you were also very kind about it. You didn't need to beat me up. It wasn't your job. There are so many little emotional things I could point out that I thought were healthy and balanced. And I have to say, I get now why the students are like, yeah, you got to respect that guy. He's pretty cool. And Tevye is telling the truth. He's a guy. He's sitting here in a t-shirt and sneakers. He's a guy, but he's also a guy that we recognize as being a little bit different than some folks that haven't studied. And I know that's why you have Master Chia's attention. You can talk the talk, sure, but are you walking the walk? And there is no pretending if you're not walking the walk. So I'd have to say, I also know that there's a part of you that enjoys creativity and business and things like that. I've talked to you about those subjects, and you're just as excited and passionate and balanced as you are when we talk about personal stuff. So I guess I want our listeners to know I wouldn't have invited Tevia onto the show if I didn't think he had something really normal to share. How did you do that? And so that's why we're here. So we asked you why you do it for yourself. I'm going to go on to another question. You have a school.
Yes.
And that's kind of a big deal, because lots of people have meditation or yoga that they do. You actually created a school, and you're sharing knowledge with others very effectively. And is training for the medical different than the moving arts? And how about instructor training? I mean, do you have different branches in your school? Okay, so tell us a little bit about what different kinds of interests people may fulfill.
Well, we have medical Qigong. What's medical Qigong, and what differentiates it from, say, normal Qigong? From the Chinese government's official definition, the definition of medical Qigong is applied traditional Chinese medicine theory to Qigong. What I practice is Taoist medical Qigong, and what differentiates that from modern medical Qigong? The difference is the Taoist medical Qigong believes that the spirit is intrinsically connected to the body. Now, for lack of a better term, in a way that's not so esoteric sounding, let's call it the mind or the awareness.
Or consciousness.
Or consciousness, that's a good word. So we know that this is intrinsically connected, so that if my spirit or my mind is agitated, I'm in an agitated emotional state, my body is going to be uncomfortable. And vice versa. If my body's uncomfortable, I'm not going to be able to focus or be in a relaxed emotional state. So people go out there and they try to meditate first thing in the morning without even moving their body, and they're tight and they can't meditate and they don't know why. I'm like, okay, well, the way our system works is we work out the kinks out of the body, work out the emotions out of the body, squeeze it all out, then try to meditate, you'll find your meditations can go far deeper as you can relax much more deeply into meditation. So that's the medical Qigong. And the medical Qigong is characterized by deep, dynamic movements, followed by a more yin or soft process, which is Qigong meditation. This Qigong meditation essentially is focusing on a different area. So, for example, we always focus on the lower abdomen after we finish. What's the purpose of this? This is where the digestion, elimination, and absorption all occurs. It's also where the reproductive organs are as well. So this is a major area of the body that we need to focus circulation in. And the Chinese call the dantian, which is really the bio battery. That's the battery storage center where you store all your energy. So you want to bring that energy back down there. And how you do that is really simple. You just focus on that area and breathe. And we know from modern science, when we do really good abdominal breathing, it pumps circulation into the organs down there and into the digestive system. Okay? So that's what characterizes medical Qigong. Now, I've taught martial arts with a focus on Qigong-based martial arts, such as Baguazhang and Xingyi Chuan and Xuanwu Chuan. These are traditional martial arts that are based on Qi, the Qi theory that we can actually use in striking. Well, how do we apply that to a Western audience? And that's something that people can understand. It's basically how you can coil. You know, I mentioned in the last episode, when you coil the muscle fascia and then you uncoil it, it generates an electrical charge. What we do in the martial arts, we create a very elastic-like, rubber-like band-like quality to the fascia so that it can snap.
Oh, boy, I bet you that is an explanation that that resonates with a lot of people. All of a sudden, this makes sense now.
Yeah. And from there, you generate speed.
Yeah.
And you're able to use leverage of the ground. So the Chinese always talk in very mystical terms, but it doesn't need to be mystical. So they say you're going to use earth energy. Really, are you really using earth energy? Well, in a sense, yes, but what we're doing is we're leveraging by pushing off the ground and coiling the fascia so we can leverage the ground and then push off of it and have that coil through our fascia and then unwind and snap outwards.
Wow. Now, I'm laughing because one of the complaints we get is that, well, you know, in Chinese history, they always speak in metaphor. And I'm always saying, yeah, but it's not just a metaphor. This is actually real. Yeah. You just explained how real that particular concept, for example, use earth energy. Well, duh.
Well, because I grew up with so many Chinese teachers and I felt like, why do they need to talk so mystically? Because it's the way their culture. Only when I learned Chinese and learned how to speak Mandarin did I really grasp it. The way they talk in general can be it sounds mystical and poetic. They have a very poetic language. The way they talk about things, they don't talk directly the way we as Westerners do. But I'm a Westerner, so I wanted to figure out, okay, what does this guy really mean? How can I take years of teaching and put it into a few sentences that anyone can understand and grasp? And for that, I spent years investigating the modern science behind it and trying to find the connections. And that's been my real work. And that's the contribution that in my lifetime that I want to give back, is being able to really make something that sounds so esoteric and so mythical and mystical and show really that this is actually real tangible stuff that we can train and develop very easily.
Okay. Well, again, I am riveted, but I have to go back to the original question. So we've got also, I thought you have a teacher training program. Do you do that?
We have a teacher training program. Now, people say to me, so how can I become a teacher if I've never done Qigong before? I say, well, first off, you're not going to become a teacher right off the bat. I still keep a traditional view that you need to have the real skill to be able to become a teacher. So we go through a step-by-step process. So you go through level 1, level 2, level 3. Now, after you do level 3, then you go on to level 4. Level 4, if you complete level 4, then you can apply to become a teacher. And that requires testing. We do a video test, and we do a theoretical test. And if you pass those tests, so I can actually see you have the skill in your body and you actually can explain the theory correctly, then you can get certified to teach that particular form that you trained. So you're not becoming a complete White Tiger QiGong instructor. You're becoming certified to teach a specific form. And I did this so we could break it down because we want to spread White Tiger QiGong, but we want to keep the integrity of the QiGong and not. So we don't want to become like McDonald's. Like I see a lot of yoga teacher trainings. You go in, you pay the money, you do the training, you get out, and you get your certification.
That's what I was thinking just now.
Now in the QiGong world, you'll lose your reputation real quick if you do something like that, and you're not putting out something of quality. Now with White Tiger, I am a firm believer in quality over quantity. So we want to put out quality students that are going to really truly express the essence of White Tiger QiGong. And I will only give certification to those who can pass those tests. And it requires a student who has a real willingness and desire that this is what they want to do. And it's not just a hobby that they're doing part-time. This has to be something that they're really actually doing. And I can see the difference. And that's what I love about this QiGong is that QiGong, when you do it, you can't lie because it will come through in your movements.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. How do they get started?
How do you get started? The first thing you want to do is go to a course. You can find a White Tiger QiGong instructor on our website under Locate Instructors page. Find an instructor that's near you. Every year we're certifying more and more. So if there's none near you, wait a little bit. There's also online courses that we have. We're putting out more online courses. We have books. Or just come study with me directly and get the most direct teachings possible here at Tao Garden.
I was going to say, maybe, to be reasonable, a person could start with an online course. I'm sure that there's some sort of contact information. They can ask questions. But eventually, and I'm speaking to you now, listeners, eventually you have to have a living teacher. And I don't think anybody would argue that point. Eventually, you have to have a living teacher. But you could get started.
Well, that brings up a really important issue that I want to talk about just briefly, really.
Okay.
I had a student come, and he took a form of mine to train a form. And he said to me, "Oh, I have to tell you, I've already trained this form." I said, "Where did you train it?" He said, "On YouTube." I said, "Oh, on YouTube? You trained this form on YouTube?" And he told me the name of the teacher he studied it under on YouTube. And I said, "Oh, I actually studied with that teacher, and he teaches it completely different in his school." And one thing a lot of people don't realize is the Chinese, when they put out these YouTube videos, they're always leaving important pieces out of the picture. And they're not also explaining what's happening on the inside of the body. You're just seeing the external form. You're not actually seeing what's happening on the inside. So by the time he left, he had a completely different perspective of what actually that QiGong was about. And he was very thankful and grateful he came to study it with me in person.
Okay, well, there you go. And I also have really strong feelings about that. I have online courses. It's great. It is not the same as coming to a class. And Tevia is right. If you want to come to a class here in Tao Garden, is pretty spectacular. I am going to ask what other countries you've offered classes in.
Well, this year I'll be teaching in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I'll be teaching in Germany. I'll be teaching in Helsinki in Finland. I'll be teaching in Sweden. Yeah.
Okay, so international guy. Okay, folks, we are just about out of time. So, Tevia, before we go, do you have a simple exercise or bit of advice for our listeners? Something that we can do each day to raise our ability to master ourselves in a positive way, even if it's just advice. That's okay, too.
Well, the very first exercise that I teach everyone, that anyone can do, and it's one of the most common medical Qigong exercises taught in China, is shaking. So you just bounce in place and completely let go of your body. Now you can bounce by jumping off the ground. Don't jump too high. Just keep it nice and light, or just bounce on your heels. Whatever's comfortable and natural, and completely let go of your body. Like you keep enough to keep your structure upright, but let go of your body and shake. And shake and shake, and do it for 2 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can. You're going to start to feel the body wake up. You're going to feel the circulation moving, and you'll start to feel the qi flowing, which is really essentially circulation.
Wow, no wonder your students were smiling. Okay, Tevia, how do our listeners find you?
WhiteTigerQiGong.com. QiGong. That's how I spell Qigong. So White Tiger QiGong. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole nine.
Beautiful. All right, Tevia, thank you so much. And listeners, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on another Empowerment Through Knowledge adventure. Want to learn more? Find Master Chia at mantakchia.com. That's MANTAKCHIA.com. Find advanced learning materials, books, and more at serenastone.com. That's SARINASTONE.com. Thanks for listening, and if you like what you heard, please subscribe today. This podcast was produced by J.C. Warfield Productions in conjunction with the Echo Chamber Studio, Minneapolis, Minnesota.